Let's take a look, maybe just to sort of close out and celebrate the month of May. We have a full month to take a look at in terms of the standings of the league. Let's take a look after the weekend how things have sort of shaken out now. It is still San Diego Wave FC on top of the standings at number 1, Angel City at number 2, OL Reign number 3, Houston Dash number 4, Racing Louisville at number 5, and Orlando Pride at number 6. That is the top 6 positions right now for the league. Rounding things out for the bottom half of the table, Chicago Red Stars at number 7, Portland Thorns at number 8, Washington Spirit number 9, and New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC at number 10, Kansas City Current at number 11, and at number 12, North Carolina Courage. So that's a wrap for the month of May. We'll have to take a look at these again, maybe towards the end of June, and sort of see where things shake out then. I think maybe we'll make that a part of our routine here at A3 to sort of keep things in perspective. It's one thing to look at it week to week to week, but when you're sort of seeing things kind of month to month, getting a look at the fixtures that took place and then sort of seeing where teams have kind of shaken out, it's a little bit different. So we're going to try to keep that going. But there is a game that we do have to preview, Lisa, for all the good folks joining us here today. There is one Wednesday midweek match, NWSL action for you, kicking off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time at Segra Field. It's going to be Washington Spirit versus Chicago Red Stars. This was the rescheduled home opener for Chicago Red Stars, I believe, and now they had to reschedule it because of Challenge Cup overlap. So Chicago was one of 4 teams, I think, that had to move some things and shift some things around. Portland Thorns was the other, and obviously North Carolina Courage as well. But look, we're talking about the 2 teams that delivered some wild draws this weekend, Lisa. I mean, coming off of a quick turnaround, who are you looking at this one and why?
That's such a good point. I mean, quick turnaround, yes, for both of these sides. But I mean, for Washington Spirit, they've played back to back to back.
Yes.
It feels like they played last week, Wednesday, Sunday, Friday. They play again on Wednesday. These are quick turnarounds for Washington Spirit. And as you mentioned, I mean, Washington, they're coming off of a couple draws back to back. I mean, they just tied with Orlando Pride, and those were late goals from Orlando that came at the end of that match that Washington frankly should have won that game. Yeah. A 0-0 draw with OL Reign before that, and then a 1-1 draw with Portland Thorns earlier in this month of May. So for Washington, they need 3 points. They've been struggling a little bit with getting on the board and then holding that lead that they have. I mean, that was their biggest thing against Orlando. And I imagine a lot of frustration coming after that tough draw in the stoppage time for Orlando Pride to get 2 goals at the end of that game after having a really good stretch of 80 minutes or so from Washington Spirit to get really good goals in different scoring opportunities, shots from distance, getting in behind for Ashley Hatch on her goal, Trinity Rodman getting her first NWSL goal of the year. But this now, as Washington is at home playing against the Chicago Red Stars, who Chicago also coming off of a tough draw against Portland 2-2, but that game was a little bit more back and forth. Chicago went up, then Portland equalized, then Chicago up again, and then Portland getting the equalizer to end that one 2-2. So when I look at
who's gonna win, who's gonna lose, Lisa?
When I look at this, honestly, I think Washington Spirit. I think coming off of 3 draws in a row, they're not happy with how that Orlando game ended. And I want goals though. Can I do like a 3-2?
Yeah, if you want to put a score
3-1 on this match, but I give it in favor of Washington. Trinity Rodman got a taste of scoring goals in the NWSL this year. She's going to get another one.
Listen, that's a dangerous player to start getting hot right now, right? I'm with you, though. I feel like the Spirit have had a pretty match-heavy front of their season, and we're maybe starting to see that in some of their starters. I think having the return of Andy Sullivan is going to be huge for them in the middle on a quick turnaround. And for Chicago, it's also going to be a quick turnaround, but they're actually just going to be starting their match-heavy schedule. So they're going to have 2 weeks where they're going to have about 5 games in there, but this is just the beginning of that. And I'm just like thinking about it a little bit, and I'm just kind of like, there's one on the 1st, there's going to be another one later on the 8th. It's a lot, but this is going to be the beginning stages of that. And like racking my brain right now, I'm realizing that June 8th game is actually the rescheduled Challenge Cup game. So my bad on that, folks. This June 1st game is not the rescheduled match. It's still going to be the June 8th one. But I think it's early enough to where maybe Chicago is not going to have the heavier of legs, but they are going to have the travel on them. And both of these teams are going to be playing at Segra. And quite frankly, this is a facility that has not been super kind to the Washington Spirit either, let alone the opposition that have come in to go and play in this facility. So listen, for the sake of the one game, I'm not gonna do a draw, but I just won't be surprised if it shakes out that way.
I know.
But I'll just keep it a full buck and just go Chicago all the way, and we'll see. So you chose Spirit. I'm going Chicago. We'll get a chance to come back on here and talk about it.
So this Wednesday game, I know you mentioned that Chicago is not going to have as heavy legs, and I agree with that completely. Washington will, but Andy Sullivan being back, she's got fresh legs. I mean, coming off of limited minutes with Washington Spirit, but if she can control that midfield, Kelly O'Hara was out for Washington in this past weekend's games. If she'll be available is unknown in this one, but maybe we'll see a little bit more player rotation for Washington and Chris Ward, which could be good, could be bad for them. But I mean, if Mallory Pugh is on fire, if Ava Cook is getting good looks for Chicago, I think the goalkeeper battle between Bledsoe and Alyssa Nair is going to be really fun to break down between these two sides. I know you said potentially a draw you're looking at, but I put I put some score lines on this. Do you have any score lines that you can drop for this one?
Narrow. I'll say narrow. I'll say it's going to be like a 2-1 or a 1-0. I just am like, it just depends. It's just going to depend on who's going to be available for both these teams. It's going to depend on what the player rotation actually looks like, if there is a ton of it, and who's going to be available. I mean, we saw a player like Bianca St. George's leave that match against the Thorns early due to a collision. So she did not come back into the game. What's the status on her? Is she going to be available? What does the minutes restriction look like for a player like Mal Pugh, who is still technically working her way back, going from 45 minutes to 60? Is she only going to go 75, etc.? Is Erin Wright going to be available for the Chicago? She is somebody who has locked down Trinity Rodman before, is not unfamiliar with that. Is she even going to be available? There's too many unknowns here, I think, for me, which is why I was like, God, I really want to choose a draw, but I can't do that with only one game of us previewing. So I don't want to do that. So I want us to pick a winner a piece. And I like that you're going Spirit. It gives me the opportunity to go Chicago, but we'll see what's going to happen in this one.
I like that we have that. We've each picked a side in this one. So it's a Wednesday midweek action game. We'll be back to talk about it on Thursday as well between these two sides, back to back. Pretty quick turnarounds for these guys. And we're doing this live on Monday right now. So it's a quick turnaround for everyone,
the league and for us.
for everyone involved. And then, so between these two sides, we'll see what happens. Goalkeeper battle, potential draw to happen between these two. But we get to talk about it live on Thursday together. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, keep that content note for all of you in the back of your heads. We're doing the recaps of any Wednesday matches for the next foreseeable future on Thursday. So stay tuned for more from us on Thursday.